Hi friends, we'll have a discussion on the entry of foreign higher educational institutions into India. This topic was in debate in the country since 1995. When we signed the WTO agreement in the year 1995, since then onwards, this issue has been discussing, and sometimes government has taken some steps and it was abruptly ended. Again governments are considered on some other time, but still we haven't taken a clear cut policy on this entry of foreign higher educational institutions into India. Recently, University Grants Commission has released some regulations to have a collaboration with these foreign HEIs with Indian HEIs, that means higher educational institutions. And also UGC constituted a committee to frame the regulations to set up a campus in India by the higher educational institutions of foreign country. So that is why we are discussing this issue. It has its own significance. So you must know what is this entry, why you need an entry, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what are the challenges. Those things we will discuss in this video. See, first of all you must understand this entry into higher education. This entry into higher education, not in other education, that means primary, secondary, upper secondary. No, it's not like that. Only in higher educational institutions. In primary and secondary education, perhaps it is not a right thing to do, because it is also concerned with the culture, language, local systems. That is the reason why we are not allowing the foreign education into this primary and secondary. But anyhow, when you are entering into higher educational institution, the level of knowledge that you are getting will increase, and that knowledge is very important, and that too the knowledge which you are gaining at the higher education level is universal. So that is why you must reach to the standard of the world level. So that is why we are thinking about entry of foreign educational institutions into India. So first of all you must understand, like, it is about higher education, not other levels of education. Why we need a foreign educational institution? Because when I say educational institution, take it for granted it is about higher education throughout this video. Why you need a foreign educational institution? Don't we have that educational institutions in India? And why you need this foreign one? You need this foreign one because of two things. One is, there are some problems that Indian higher education system is facing. The problems of the existing system or the existing institutions. Second one is about the opportunities that the foreign educational institutions are providing. When it comes to the problems or the challenges that Indian higher education system, first of all it is related to access and quality. Access and quality. See, when it comes to the access, now lot of private institutions also entered into this higher education, and apart from that government institutions are also there. But when it comes to the quality education, unfortunately the level of quality that we are maintaining is low in India, barring few institutions in public sector and some private sector institutes. And in majority of the institutes the quality is low. And these higher educational institutions are not accessible to everyone, and most of them are only situated are established in the urban area, and rural people, if they want to go for a higher education, they need to go for a longer distance. And when it comes to the quality aspect, quality is low. Quality is low because two aspects. One is the investment that is done by the government in higher education is low, and government is good at starting some higher educational institutions like IITs, IIMs and NITs and some national level medical colleges, but otherwise the focus of the government on this higher educational institution across the world is not getting enough attention. So that is one reason, that is the reason why there is a problem of quality. And when it comes to the private institutions, these private institutions have made this education as a commodity. And some institutions, they are philanthropic, and wherever the institutions are running on a philanthropic basis, there we are maintaining the standards, but where we are completely commercialized the higher education, there the quality has reduced. And another important thing is, now we are having only few premier institutes in our country, whether it is in technology, whether it is in medicine, whether it is in management, only few premier institutes are there, both in government and private. And it can take only limited number of people, limited number. Suppose now 4 crore people are pursuing higher education in India. 4 crore people are pursuing higher education in India. In this, really how many students can be absorbed by these premier institutes? And premier institutes can hardly, both including private and public, hardly they can absorb 15 to 20,000, not more than that. So that means maximum 20,000 students can only be absorbed by this. That means only 20,000 people can get the admission into these premier institutes. Then what about others? Do you think that they are the students don't have the knowledge, they are inferior to the others? That means the toppers? No. But if these people, if they are unable to get the admission into these premier institutes and the remaining institutes are not maintaining such a quality, then the immediate available option to that students is to go for the foreign country. So that is why some people are going to the foreign country to pursue the education. And in some cases, like in medical education, we have seen during the Ukraine crisis, the medical education is so costly in India. And sometimes getting seat is also very difficult because there are no enough number of quality institutions in India, and perhaps when it comes to the medicine, there are no much institutions in India. So institutions are, quality institutions are not there is a first problem, and the cost is very high is the second problem. So that is what exactly the problem of access. And to those institutions you have an access, there the quality is low. So that is why people want, some people are looking into these foreign institutes and foreign education. It's not like everyone is going to the foreign country just to have the quality education. Some people, they wanted to settle in the foreign country, they wanted to do the job in the foreign country, that is why they are going. That's a different story. And one of the reason why students are going for foreign is, if I completed an education even in a premier institute in India, I may not find a better employment, and only few people are getting the employment in premier companies. So that means the after completion of the graduation, the employment is a problem, and the cost is a problem, accessibility of to that educational institution is a problem. So these are some of the problems that Indian higher education system is facing, and there is a very serious problem called research. I will come to that little bit late. The research is also another problem. So because of that, these people are looking for this foreign education. Now at the same time, the foreign educational institutions are ready to provide that facilities to you. After globalization, now everyone is interested. Though India is not ready to accept the education under WTO agreement, but still when these opportunities are available, and when they are ready to collaborate and when they are ready to start campuses in you, now the government is also looking seriously to invite these institutions into India, because they have the knowledge, they have that research capabilities, they are maintaining that standards. And if we are collaborating with those institutes, or if those institutes enter into India, it can certainly provide the opportunities to the Indian students, and they will also give the competition to the Indian educational institutions. They will try to increase the standards of Indian education system. They will bring new aspects, they bring new knowledge, new skills. So this is possible, this is possible. So, and another important aspect is, if you looking into some of the countries like Australia, you will be surprised to know that if you go to the Australia, in some universities, both the teachers and as well as the students are from India, but the degree that you are getting is the foreign degree. And it's happening in some other places also, because in India, getting admission into getting a job as a faculty in the universities is a rigorous process, and that too there are limited opportunities, and the qualified people, they wanted to move to the foreign countries to teach in the foreign institutes. So that is why both teachers and as well as the students are Indians, but the degree you are getting is foreign. Why can't you invite those institutions to India? Both your teachers and students can serve that, and you will get your own Indian degree, and it will be less cost for you, because people are spending lot of amount of money. That too, it is a forex reserve. Forex, it is a forex. So it has become costly. That means people are spending so much of amount of money. Country is losing a forex reserve. So these are the opportunities that are provided by the higher educational institutions of foreign country. So there are some problems, there are some opportunities. So, and down the line, we want the foreign educational institutions. That is the argument. But anyhow, I will come to the issue and I will detailedly discuss both the advantages and challenges again. Next, okay, now foreign higher educational institutions are important, okay, but how this arrangement should be made? How this arrangement should be made? This arrangement will happen in two ways. Arrangement happens in two ways. One is through the collaboration, collaboration of foreign higher educational institutions with Indian higher educational institutions. Second one is starting their campus. That means a direct entry of that institution into India. So in collaboration, you no need to bring your institute physically here. You no need to start any campuses in India. If there is a collaboration, there is an exchange of students, there is an exchange of faculty, there is an exchange of ideas. That things happen in collaboration. Direct entry means you have to bring the capital into India and you have to start a campus, or you have to start a joint venture with existing higher educational institutions. So these are the two methods through which a foreign higher educational institutions can enter into India. Now to this second option, there is a serious opposition to this second option in India. And when it comes to the first one, there is no much opposition. Lot of people are welcoming. Because already in an informal way, some higher educational institutions are collaborating with the foreign higher educational institutions. Now recently UGC has released a regulation. That means they are eased the regulations. Actually the regulations were eased. That means they simplified the regulations for collaboration of Indian and foreign higher educational institutions. And UGC has constituted a committee to make the regulations for direct entry of higher educational into India. I am not discussing the second one now, I will discuss a little bit later. But now collaboration. So University Grants Commission has released some regulations. In that regulations, they mentioned three different ways through which Indian university can collaborate with the foreign university, foreign higher educational institutions. These are joint degree program, dual degree program and twinning. First of all, I will explain this twinning. Joint degree program, dual degree program and twinning. So what happened in this twinning? Twinning is a program in which Indian higher education institution and foreign higher education institutions will collaborate, and in this the students who join in the higher education institution of India will physically, that means there is no online mode, there is no open and distance learning mode. The students who joined in this, they will pursue some courses in this institute and they will go to the foreign campus in foreign country and they will complete a semester or 2 semesters and they will get a required number of credits, and again they will return to India and finally they will get a degree. And the degree is an Indian degree. The degree is an Indian degree with some foreign certification by saying like these many credits or these many subjects that he has studied here. So you will have a degree which is having a joint recognition of both foreign institution and as well as the domestic Indian institution. So this is something we call it as twinning. And the same thing happened with the foreign country also. That means the foreign higher education, the student who enrolled in the foreign higher educational institutions will come and he will stay for a semester or 2 semesters and he will secure some credits, and again he will get the degree here and also a recognition from Indian higher educational institution or university. So you will get some 30% of credit. That number is not important, but just have an idea about this twinning. Just have an idea about the twinning. Now, second one is joint degree program. Joint degree program. Joint degree program. So in this joint degree program, what will happen is both Indian higher education institution and foreign higher education institutes will collaborate and they will sign an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, and Indian foreign students, they both have to earn more than 30% of the credits, maybe in terms of curriculum, maybe in terms of exchanging of faculty program, exchanging of the academic program, or doing some project work combinedly, anything based on the MOU. Students will study, the students who joined in India, they will learn in India. The students who joined in foreign country, they will attend the classes in foreign country, but there is an academic collaboration between both and ultimately they will get their respective degree, but the students will have a chance or choice to expose to what is happening in foreign university. And at the same time, the foreign universities will also have, the students in foreign university will also have an exposure to what is happening in India. So an exchange of knowledge, exchange of the different practices, teaching practices, academic practices, research practices, anything. Okay. So this is a joint degree program. So a degree given jointly by joint collaboration of these two universities, and they will get Indian degree, they will get a foreign degree. Next, another important program is the dual degree program. Dual degree program. Dual degree program. See, this dual degree program is different to that of double degree. Double degree means I have completed some engineering, that is 1 degree, and I have completed in MBA, that is another degree, that is a double degree. But dual degree means at the same time you are getting 2 degrees. At the same time you are getting 2 degrees. In this you join in Indian higher educational institution, and these higher educational institutions will have a collaboration with foreign higher educational institutions. So you are pursuing a course here and you are getting some enough amount of credits, and at the same time you are pursuing the course that is offered by this, and you are also, if you also secure the enough amount of credits, then you will be given a degree which is by Indian university and as well as foreign university. So this is a dual degree program, simultaneously you can do, and these people will collaborate. So that means what is the combination? If he is pursuing a particular course, then what are the courses that you must offered by this institution? So this is a dual degree program. So these are the three programs that are given by the UGC. And who can join in this program? That means it's not a condition for students, but a condition for the educational institutions. So can any foreign institution join and enter this program? No. Actually UGC has put some regulations. The regulations are something like this. In India, an Indian higher educational institutions, the NAC grade must be more than 3.01. That means there should be A plus, A plus plus. This total score is 4. In that, if you are 3.01 above, then you will be eligible. And there is an international ranking of universities. This QS ranking is a very credible ranking, and in this QS university ranks or higher educational institution ranks, if you are in the global 1000, then you can collaborate with Indian university or Indian higher educational institutions. And the HRD will also giving some ranking, National Institution of Ranking Framework, in that the top 100 educational institutions can collaborate. So the collaboration, the condition is like this: NAAC, QS and NIRF. So based on that they can collaborate. And I already told no online, no open and distance learning, and they also fee structure and suitable exit modes also mentioned, because a student joined and they want to exit from that, and it should not become a burden, or it should not lead to lot of delays for the student to exit out of that program or to quit that program. Okay, so that fee structure in the sense, they have not put a rigid limits, but some basic some bottom line they have fixed it, and even the exit process is also made as simple. So this is something about collaboration. And with this collaboration definitely we'll get an opportunity to interact with many foreign educational institutions. We will get an opportunity to learn the best practices, and without going into the foreign country, you can access to that foreign degree, and you can also access to that foreign the different practices followed by the foreign educational institutions. And at the same time, India can also contribute its knowledge to the foreign students and foreign countries, and it saves lot of money for the Indian students, and it saves forex reserves to the India. It saves the lot of forex reserves to the India, and it will also lead to the exchange of the university professors or the faculty exchange program it leads to, and global best practices can be learned by both the institutes in India and as well as foreign. And also it improves the India's ranking, because when India is learning the best practices from the other institutions, certainly India's ranking in higher education will increase. But one thing you must understand, I will come to that ranking aspect of Indian institutions, I will come a little bit later. But still, if you are collaborating with the foreign higher educational institution, there is a chance that your rank may go up, but there are some inherent problems that are there in the Indian education system. I will discuss it later. And it attracts the foreign students to India, and India can become a destination to the as an educational hub, at least for some time, under collaborative program. So these are some of the advantages that you will have when you collaborate with the foreign institutes. Now, this direct entry of foreign educational institutions into India. Direct entry. See, when it comes to the direct entry, in 1995 this discussion has started. In the year 2005 we have again raised this issue. in the year 2010 there was a bill presented, or there was a bill introduced in the parliament, and parliament debated it, and it has sent to the select committee. The select committee has also discussed it, but it got lapsed because the government has changed in the year 2014, and the government did not take it as seriously. But in the year 2015, the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi, under Make in India program, he just given this task to the Niti Aayog to looking into how we can attract these foreign educational institutions into India, and what are the advantages or what are the opportunities and challenges, because the same BJP government, the same BJP party has opposed the bill in the year 2010 when UPA 2 tried to introduce the bill which will attract the foreign higher educational institutions into India, because there are some concerns are there. That is the reason why we are so careful in introducing, careful in inviting the foreign higher educational institutions into India. So anyhow, now the UGC has constituted a committee. Maybe that committee will give some recommendations, and after that there is a lot of debate in this country, and after that we will take a certain decision. But the national education policy which we have released in the year 2020, even the national education policy 2020 has also talked about this internationalizing the higher education, because though we have a lot of knowledge in India and we are having our own good institutions, but we need to internationalize the higher education system. Because as I already told, when you are in the education system, when you are going to the higher level, the knowledge which you are gaining will be universal. So you must reach to that standard. So that is why even NEP has also talked about this internationalization of higher education, but they made so explicit like only quality higher educational institutions should allow India, not like every other institution. If every other institution comes, it will dilute the entire higher education system in India, and perhaps they recommended like top 100 universities can be allowed to India. But does really the top 100 universities are ready to enter into India? That's the question mark. But anyhow, national education policy has also emphasized that aspect, and a 5-member committee was appointed, and maybe the top 500 global universities may be allowed to India. That means to start their branches or campuses, or to have a joint venture with Indian higher educational institutions. We don't know what type of recommendations they will bring, but in the year 2010 when they have introduced the bill, there was a lot of opposition from opposition parties, and they could not move forward, and ultimately the bill got lapsed. Now, especially when the UGC has constituted a committee recently last month, they are so specific about this collaboration must happen in artificial intelligence, data science. That means on these type of subjects, artificial intelligence, data sciences, only in this area we will invite, or we will accept the entry of foreign educational institutions. And one thing, when you are inviting the foreign educational institutions, you must be very careful, like you should not allow the same teaching campuses to India, because teaching campuses, the teaching can happen in India also, because the teaching thing is happening even in India. Now if you looking into the ranking of the either both Indian institutes or the world institutes, especially at the world level, that too in QS level, they are mostly emphasizing on this research. So the research should be a part of these higher educational institutions. The teaching and other aspects will also have its own weightage, but the higher weightage is given to this research. And unfortunately in India, why some of the higher educational institutions, though they are old, they are not getting in top list, because they are only confined to the teaching, but they are not doing research. And if I give the latest data of this world ranking, and it is the II in QS, this world university ranks, the IISc Bangalore, it got 155 rank, it secured at the world. That means not even a single institute in top 100. And after that it is IIT Bombay, 172, and after that it is IIT Delhi, it is 174. This is the ranking, recently released ranking. And but when it comes to the foreign institutes, there are some very good foreign institutes, they are in top 100. Now you wanted to attract those institutes, because if you attract those institutes only, it will be beneficial to the Indian students and Indian institutes. Indian institutes can learn some better practices from them. If you simply allow the colleges or the educational institutions which will only confine to the teaching, perhaps it may not help. It may not help. And that is the reason why this focus on research should be more, and the institutes which are involved in the research, we should attract them. But there is another important thing is, in the world that means in the world level institutes, the institutes which are involved in this research process, they got some funding from the governments. They got some funding from the government. But if you looking into the same aspect, to what extent the government of India is funding the research institutes or the institutions to do the research? You know what is the total research, the budget that we are spending? It's less than 1% of total budget. Hardly it is 0.7% of the GDP. So hardly 0.7% of the GDP that we are spending on budget on research, and that too you will surprised to know that most of the research budget is not allocating for the educational institutions to do the research. It will go to the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Indian Council of Medical Research, Agricultural Research, DRDO, ISRO. Like these are the institutions, they are getting money from the government. But government is not actively providing money to this educational institution to go for the research. And hardly that few IITs and NITs, and now they are saying like the Institute of Eminence, they have come up with a different name, and those who are under that Institute of Eminence, only those institutes will get that money, that assistance from the government. But whereas in case of foreign country, the foreign governments are providing that money generously. Now you are interested in attracting those institutes. If you are attracting those institutes, who will provide money? Who will provide the money? So the government obviously has to provide. If the government provides that money, then what about the money that already government allocated to the domestic institutions? Will it not going to impact the working of domestic institutes? Earlier they got some money from the government, now they will distribute the same money among the others. And if the foreign institution is doing research with Indian money, then if something they come out of with some innovation, then who should have a right on that, who should have that patenting right on that particular product? So these are a lot of things that need to be discussed, But only the main important thing is, only if research institute comes, certainly it benefits. But apart from that, if you allow any other institutes and you provide the land, you provide some taxation benefits, or you provide some water, other infrastructure facilities and all, and ultimately the government will pay less attention for promoting higher education institution in public sector. So this is what the concern lot of people are raising. But some people are saying no, you should not looking into that. Government should develop its own infrastructure in higher educational institution. Government should increase the standard. Government should spend enough money for research. You should promote the domestic higher educational institutions, but at the same time you must attract the global practices. So you should not suffer. You should not looking in both the things are different. But some people are arguing, no, if you allow them, then definitely you will neglect this, because this is what happened in India throughout this since 1990. When private entered, government simply neglected, and it has become more private. And that too, how much amount of fees that they are going to charge, because to what extent you can regulate, to what extent an autonomy you must give, because they are all foreign educational institutions. They might have enjoyed a lot of autonomy in their country. So the point is, you must be very careful in developing the domestic institutes, and the development of foreign educational institutions not at the cost of domestic educational institutions. That point we must be very careful. And when you are attracting, you should not attract all these teaching colleges into India. You cannot. And if you do that, then definitely it will completely devastate this, and a lot of private teaching institutes will no, they will grow, and certainly it don't bring any quality. There is no much difference between then your institute and foreign institutes. You are teaching, they are teaching, both are low, both are getting low rank in that world university ranking list. So we must attract only research institutes, but when you are attracting research institutes, you must be little bit generous, and you must provide some sort of liberal rules for the foreign educational institutions. And how many are really ready to get, but that's it's a debatable point. Based on the availability, based on the relaxation you are giving, they will come. But such a quality institutions, even if they come in a in a few number, also that will certainly helps the India and Indian universities and Indian students. So that is what you must understand. That is what you must understand. So when you are allowing this direct foreign educational institutions, you must take care about these aspects. You must take care about these aspects. So it should not lead to the neglect of the institutions in India, and the resources of Indian educational institutions must not be diverted, and this commercialization should not be happen. Unfortunately, this commercialization of education at the primary level, it is also not wrong, but it's also wrong. But the point is, at the primary level, the people can afford, and at least people can get that benefit if they spend some amount of money. But if you commercialize the higher educational institutions, it is very difficult. It's very difficult, and that too you cannot make your human beings or the students as a resources, and it will certainly have its own impact of the innovative capacity and research capacity of the country. Okay, so that is why higher education should be either in government's public sector or under philanthropy, but it should not be like a commercialization, because it should be accessible to everyone. It should be accessible to everyone, and by keeping these points in mind, and if the UGC really comes up with a good regulations with regulations to invite higher educational institution to start their campuses, then definitely it leads to a lot of diversity and richness in the higher education system. And one thing you must understand in this entire discussion, because we have already done liberalization in the economic sector in the 1990, in the economy in the year 1991 with our reforms, and in the year 1995 we have signed the WTO agreement. Even there was a lot of pressure on India to agree education as a commodity under WTO. If you sign that agreement and in WTO to accept education as a commodity, at least higher education as a commodity under WTO, then you should not disfavor, or you should not favor any other country. You must provide facilities to all the educational institutions who are coming to India. Then certainly it will be completely commercialized, and it will destroy the India's domestic educational system. Anyhow, now when we liberalize the economy, certainly we have benefited from the economic reforms, because at that point of time in India we don't have enough capacity to produce. That is why we attracted foreign people. If foreign people come, they can bring the technology, they can bring the capital, and they can also help the domestic producers, and they will become a competitor, and they will strengthen the economic system. That is what the philosophy with which we have started these economic reforms, and we got the benefit out of that. Today some companies have reached to the international standard, and the technology transfer has also happened. The capital which they have brought also helped the Indian economy. Now if you looking into the Indian economic system or Indian economy, now the government is talking about, like, you should not be a net importer, but you should be a net exporter. You must also find out your own strength, and you must also produce, you must also export. That's what the government is now saying. At the same time, when you are allowing the foreign educational institutions into India, either through the collaboration or through the direct entry, you must also make sure that our educational system should also improve their strength, because you cannot increase your ranking or you cannot improve your capacity or you can increase your research capability not just because not just with the collaboration of foreign institutes. Foreign institutes only to help to certain extent, but you have to build your own strength. And government and private, the philanthropic institutes, they must focus more on research, when inherently they grown on their own strength, and the foreign collaboration, if it adds to that, then certainly it increases. But without focusing on the domestic capabilities, that means the capacities of the domestic institution, either privately funded or publicly funded or under philanthropy, if you just focusing on importing the foreign educational institution, then it will lead to the same problem what Indian economy is facing. So you must strength first, and it should not be like a one way, it should be a two way. When they are sharing something, when you are collaborating, when they are giving something, you must be in a position to give something. You must share your own practices and you must learn some practices from them. And it should be like it is in our interest, but they should feel also it is in their interest. And there is a lot of traditional knowledge in India, either in terms of Ayurveda or in terms of Veda, Upanishad, or in terms of some medicinal plants, some tribal knowledge. So these things are these are the strength of India, and this strength also you can use. So apart from the science, apart from the technological aspect in different thing, this traditional knowledge also you must make use it for the collaboration, and certainly then it will be useful for as a soft power for India to engage with the foreign countries in its diplomacy. So it also lead to that. Moreover, India will become a hub of this international education and for students, and we can attract the students, we can save some forex. These are all the things, but the thing is you must also strengthen your own educational institutions. Not strengthening the educational institution, just attract the foreign institutes, maybe the quality institutes, maybe the institutes which are good at the research and development, but still it may not be developed to full extent to the India. So the focus should be like both on domestic and always as well as attracting, but when you are attracting you must be very careful, because there are some flyby operators are there. That means their institutions, they don't have a building, they don't have anything, simply they will have a website and they will collect the fees, and after 1 month or 2 months they will fly. We don't know where they are. But anyhow, when government is making a regulation like under top 500 institutes or top 100 institutes in the world ranking, certainly you don't have a choice, certainly you don't have that problem, certainly you don't have a problem. Okay, but anyhow you need to just fix the bottom line, like what are the minimum conditions, then you can go for that. And when it comes to the foreign educational institutions, like what are the regulations, because there are some concerns about the social justice in India. In public institutions there is a system called reservation, but in public institutes there is a system called reservation, but in private institutions it was not there. When the bill was introduced last year, they said what are the conditions that are applied to the private institutes, that will only apply to the foreign institutes. That means they may not get this, but the point is when they are getting lot of benefits from the government, they must also contribute to the country, and whatever the inventions that are happening or that are going to happen in that foreign institutes, India should have a first right to use it, and India should also develop its own capabilities. That foreign collaboration will certainly help, and above all India must be in a position to provide the employment to the people who are graduated in this quality higher educational institutions. Otherwise the same brain drain will continue. The people who want to go and who want to live, who want to settle in foreign country, certainly we cannot do anything on that, but the point is those who don't find a better opportunities in India, for them we can create the opportunities. And even if you looking into the gross enrollment ratio, it is around 27%. That means of the 100 students who are joining in the first class, there are only 27 are reaching to this higher standards, and you must make it to the 50. That is what NEP is also saying. Okay, so if you promote this research, higher education, and with international collaboration, strengthening of domestic institutions, then certainly it will help the India, and it will increase the knowledge, and it leads to lot of inventions, so that ultimately benefit the country. Okay, so this is something about the foreign educational institutions in higher education sector, the collaboration and direct entry, the legislations which we already introduced in the parliament, but which has not passed, and the recent regulations released by the University Grants Commission, pros, cons, challenges and opportunities. Okay, thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.